Have you ever seen sheet music? You may have seen it in a hymn book or just about anywhere. Well, you might have wondered what these squiggly lines and little dots and circles mean. So today I'm going to teach you how to read some of sheet music. We start off with this. These 5 lines and 4 spaces are called a staff. And when you place notes on them, they represent certain sounds. These can be anywhere on the piano or on a violin or a flute. So, on the staff, each line and space, when you place a note in it, will represent a different sound or note on the piano. So, this line represents E, G, B, so you can remember the lines on here as E, as every good boy deserves fudge. So that's how you can remember that the order of it is E, G, B, D, and F, because each of those words starts with the letter or the note that these lines represent. Now, for the spaces, you can remember just face. And you can remember that it represents the spaces because face and space rhyme. So let's say that we put a note right here. Well, if we look over and we remember every good, so it's G. So if you learn the piano, you would know that it's this note. So we can also put notes underneath and on top of the staff. And if we don't have enough room on the staff, then we can add these little lines, which are called ledger lines. Now, if we have too many ledger lines where it gets confusing, then we switch over to something that is called a different clef. So, in music there are 2 main clefs. This is called the treble clef, and this is called the bass clef. You may have seen these in the beginning of a song, like right there. When you see this before these lines, which are called a staff, you will know that that the notes you are reading represent anywhere from this note to this note on the piano. So this is treble clef, and you can remember that treble clef is a little bit higher than bass clef. If you see this sign, which is bass clef, then you can know that you are representing this note to this note. So remember that bass clef is lower than treble clef. So you might be wondering, well, what is this? Well, this is treble clef. So this E would be right here. It would not be down here. So, when you are looking at whatever music you are looking at, you may have seen these, and you may be like, well, why is this one empty and this one is a black circle, and this one doesn't have a line on it. Well, these represent different beats. A beat can sound like this. You can clap it or you can play it on an instrument. So, let's start with our very basic beat. This is called a whole note. And it represents 4 beats. 4. So, if we were to clap this out, it would sound something like this. Or if this is 1 beat, then that's 1 beat. This would be a whole note, or 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, next we have a half note. This is a half note. Right here is a half note. So, this half note represents 2 beats. 2 beats. Not 4, but 2 beats. So, if this was 1 beat on the piano, then this would be 2 beats, or a half note. 1, 2. Now, this is a quarter note. And it's okay if you don't remember all their fancy names, but as long as you remember how many beats they get. So, this one gets 1 beat. 1. So it would just sound like this. You can remember this by when you start adding things onto it, it becomes shorter. So you can see it's just a plain circle, it's not filled in. But when we add a line onto it, or this represents 4, but when we add a line onto it, it starts to represent 2. And then if we fill in that circle, it represents 1 beat. So you can do this by yourself even if you don't have a piano. You can clap a beat. So if we were to clap a whole beat, we need to remember we wouldn't clap it like this because it's 4 beats. We would not clap it like that because that would be 4 1 beats. We would clap it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we would just pretend that we can still hear the clap. So if we were clapping a half beat or a half note, which is 2 beats, then it would sound like this. 1, 2. And if we were doing a quarter note, which is 1 beat, a quarter note looks like this. It would sound like this. 1. So, join me next time to learn about key signatures, which you might have seen as these fancy numbers in the beginning of a piece of music. Thank you.